All right, Shalom. I want to begin this lesson by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shah, Wahar, Rakar, Quadash, which in the ancient Hebrew tongue would be the correct names of the Heavenly Father, His beloved Son, and the Holy Spirit. Also would like to give double honors to my teachers, the head apostles and elders, the great millstone. Much due honors and respect to the sincere brethren out there that's also laboring in His work. And as always, want to say Shalom to the believers, the Akim as well as the Aqua, which will be you brothers along with the sisters that subscribe to this truth as well. So yeah, this lesson right here is going to be pretty much continuing in the spirit and theme of prophecy, which that's the time that we in. Right now what you're witnessing is the things written and foretold to come to pass here in the latter days is now being made manifest and being brought more and more to the forefront. It has pretty much taken center stage. And you people out there are now being faced with this overwhelming spirit of prophecy, you see? And for the brothers out there, the serious-minded amongst you brothers, as well as you sisters alike, those amongst you who are spiritually invested, if you will, well, one of the more anticipated prophecies would be the destruction of this place, America, okay, which is going to mark the start of the so-called white man's ending, man, and bring an end to his reign of terror. And as we speak these things, and teach this idea in the form of prophesying, Yahweh Shemah Shah is actually co-signing us, man. He's signing off on what we say, through these different news media outlets, this swarm of activity in the form of breaking news and current events, which can all be filtered through the scriptures. Case in point, over the course of the last, 72 hours or so, you had a Pentagon which have released footage of so-called UFOs, and it was all an effort to validate the authenticity of them, okay? Which, that's one of our teaching points. How convenient, the very thing that we teach, which you don't hear the so-called Christians teach the idea of the chariots of the Most High being what you people know as UFOs, man. So you think that's a coincidence, the timing of the Pentagon releasing that information, and simultaneously we teach that idea? No, that's Yahweh Shemah Shah signing off and co-signing pretty much what we teach, man, what we say. Why? Because we speak in his words. Another example, this guy Trump, in this campaign under the banner of warp speed, which is an effort to hasten these vaccinations. Well, that's a fulfillment of Revelation, the 12th chapter and the 12th verse, how the devil will come down with great wrath. So everything that we teach is playing out through current events. And you can filter those current events through the scriptures, which we do, all right? And pretty much the meltdown of America is going to be played out. You're going to actually see it, especially if you're viewing things through spiritual lenses. And it tells you that in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 9th chapter, in the 1st verse. Salaki, I believe that's around the 5th verse, where it says the end is made manifest, man. And when you go into that word manifest, it pretty much translates to obvious, all right? And that's what everything, life and death, man, is obvious. It's a process, man. And with the process, you see it play out. Nobody just pops out of the womb, walking and talking, or walking and talking power. There's a process, and you see the process, from an infant to a toddler to a preteen to a teenager to an adult, okay? And even in death, all right, you get a certain age, you begin to break down, you begin to wither pretty much, then you die. And it's the same with this spiral out of control, this downward spiral, this dwindling of America is a withering process. Matter of fact, let's start off with that in the book of Ezekiel, the 17th chapter, and the 24th verse. It says, and all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree, have brought down the high tree, which is America and the so-called white man, have exalted the low tree, have exalted the low tree, which would be you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, man, storm with the Lord's elect. Simultaneously, the Lord is bringing us up. He's exalting us as he debase and bring low Esau, man. Okay? When you consider the house of David, well, the house of David would be under construction, if you will. When you go into that word construction, that's a compound word. Con meaning with, instruction going back to structure. So when you put the words together, it literally means with structure. So the Lord is bringing structure once more to the nation of Israel, starting with the elect, the house of David. Okay, and that house is being constructed. And simultaneously, the Lord is destroying Esau, which that word destroy goes back to destruct. Okay? D means to take away, and struck goes back to destruction. So as the Lord is bringing structure to Israel, he's taking away structure from Esau, okay, in his kingdom. See that? So again it says, and all the trees of the field shall know that I, the Lord, have brought down the high tree, have exalted the low tree, have dried up the green tree. See, yeah, in this place America is becoming dried up. And again, to dry up is a process. All right? You know, you might have a old banana peel, you know, and at face value, you know, it looks okay, but through the process of time, it begins to dry up, it begins to wither. You know, even when you consider a branch, if a branch falls from a tree, you know, it might have a couple of leaves on the branch, and at face value, you know, initially that branch still looks alive, but through the process of time, what happens is it withers. And that's what's going on with America. See, it says, have dried up the green tree. Yeah, this place is drying up. All right? And have made the dry tree to flourish. Yeah, we was dry. Pursuant to the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, the valley of the dry bones. Now we are flourishing. See, I, the Lord, have spoken and have done it. Yeah, the Lord is claiming responsibility for this. So real quick, let's look up the definition for this word dry. All right, because the Lord said he have dried up the green tree. So the Hebrew word that would be yabashah. Yabashah, right? It says to make dry, wither, be dry, become dry. Yeah, and that's what you're witnessing right here in America. This place is becoming dry. You know, the luxuries you Americans once enjoyed, you know, whether it was going out to these different venues in the form of these concerts or sporting events at these different arenas and forums, that's now become dried up, man. Or something as subtle as you going to damn happy hour, man, hitting up these bars and clubs. That's dried up, all right? And even in relation to your very survival, there's about to be a drought on the food and supplies, man. Okay? And that great famine that's foretold to lay hold on America is fast approaching. So this place is drying up across the board, all right? See? It says be dried up, be withered. Yeah, when you consider something that's withered, it don't produce life. See? To be dry, be dried up, be without moisture. Yeah, again, if you have a plant, right? If you don't water that plant, then it's not going to produce life. It's not going to bud forth, you know, whatever fruit to that respective tree or vine. You see? It's going to become withered. Which brings me to a little information I wanted to share with you all. And the source of that information is from this article right here, which reads, a fear of white extinction. See, a fear of white extinction is provoking racial bias among American whites. So now when you read into this article, it says, remember white people? Remember white people? Once upon a time, they dominated American life. Yeah, and it's true. There was a time where this man had a firm grip of power on the planet Earth. Now we're in a time where Yahweh Shai is loosening up that grip. And what you're witnessing right now is a hard transition of power. Okay, the power is being translated from one people, Esau, and handed over to Jacob. See that? Remember white people, once upon a time, they dominated American life, but at some point in the 21st century, beset by low birth rates, they gradually died out, or in other words, they gradually dried up or withered. See? Which when you consider a plant or a tree, which, by the way, a tree represents your lineage or bloodline or pedigree. That's where you get the term family tree, right? So if you're a tree that has withered, then surely you're not going to produce any fruit, man. See? That's why you see the birth rates of Esau and amongst the so-called white man on a rapid decline. See? Because they're withering. Versus Jacob, which the Lord said for us to be fruitful and multiply, man. See that? And you can read about that in Exodus, the first chapter, around the 7th verse. So pretty much the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the children of Israel, represents life. And Esau symbolizes death. See that? That's why the birth rates amongst the so-called white man is on a sharp decline. And that's a testament of them drying up and withering. See that? So Yahweh Shema Shai is not only causing this man to dry up, in relation to social activities such as bars and restaurants closing, everything withering here in America, even when you consider the American dollar, all right? Or the fear that was once instilled, by the so-called white man throughout the planet Earth. That's actually drying up now. Everything across the board is withering, man. See? Including the birth rates, which again, that's a testament of Yahweh Shema Shai taking down the so-called white man, bringing low the high tree. See? And if you're viewing things through spiritual lenses, you will see clearly that Yahweh Shema Shai is against this man. All right? But you got to pay attention to, the tangible things as well. The Lord is showing you tangibly that this man is on a decline. All right? Which brings me to the book of Obadiah, the first chapter, and starting at the first verse. It says the vision of Obadiah, which a vision translates to prophecy, man. This was a prophecy given to the prophet Obadiah. Concerning who? Well, let's read on. Thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. See? Which translates to you so-called white people. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Yeah, and this is ultimately how Yahweh Shema Shai is going to overthrow you devils, man. By way of World War III. And this conglomerate of nations, this confederacy of nations that's going to come up against you, including your allies. See? And you're going to be taken down violently, man. And that's justice. That's the way you came into power. See? It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. See? Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. And again, this is across the board right here, man. See that? And we just read the birth rates amongst the so-called white man and how they're on a sharp decline. That's a form of the Lord making Esau small among the heathen. See? That's actually contributing to the Lord bringing low that high tree. See that? And this is why the so-called white man is rallying behind this whole idea of making America great again. See, when these devils rally behind that rallying cry, let's make America great again, well, guess what? They're acknowledging that they have become small. Let's read this again. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, man. See? So the prophecies is being fulfilled right before your eyes, which brings me to another article I wanted to bring out real quick. And the source is The Guardian. All right? It says white nationalists, hate groups have grown 55% in Trump era, report fines. Right, so you got these white nationalists, these hate groups, the skinheads, the KKKs, the neo-Nazis, all these different hate groups, right? Which is rallying behind this guy Trump. And why is that? Because the rallying cry, the overtone of this guy's campaign is to make America great again, which again proves that these devils is even acknowledging that they have become small. See that? So let's read a little of this. It says, white nationalist hate groups in the U.S. have increased 55% throughout the Trump era according to a new report by the Southern Poverty Law Center, SPLC, and a surging racist movement continues to be driven by a deep fear of demographic change. Let's read this again. It says, and a surging racist movement continues to be driven. All right, what's driving this racist movement? It says a deep fear of demographic change. And we just read in the other article where these devils fear extinction. Now, to get a better understanding of this, let's look up this word, demographic change. All right. It says demographic transition is a phenomenon and theory which refers to the historical shift, all right, from high birth rates and high infant death rates in societies with minimal technology education, especially of women, and economic development, to low birth rates and low death rates in societies with advanced, let's click on this. So there's a shift. There's a shift, man. See? And the catalyst of this shift is the spike, in Jake multiplying versus this downward spiral, in relation to the numbers of birth amongst the so-called white man. See, it says in economic development to low birth rates and low death rates in societies with advanced technology, education, and economic development, and that would be right here in America. You have the death rates and the low birth rates increasing here, amongst a society with advanced technology, education, and economic development, see, as well as the stages between these two scenarios, all right? So now I want to jump down a little. It says, however, the existence of some kind of demographic transition is widely accepted in the social sciences because of the well-established historical correlation linking dropping fertility to social and economic development. Scholars debate whether industrialization and higher incomes lead to lower population or whether lower populations lead to industrializing and higher incomes. Scholars also debate to what extent various proposed and sometimes interrelated factors such as higher per capita income, lower mortality, old age security, and rise of demand for human capital are involved. So these devils are trying to come up with all kind of formulas to why you have this demographic change, which again is the birth rates decreasing amongst those who would be considered more advanced economically and socially, man, which is you so-called white people. See? And that's your fear. See that? So that's why, again, when you read this article, right, it says white nationalist hate groups in the U.S. have increased 55% throughout the Trump era, according to a new report by the Southern Poverty Law Center, and a surging racist movement continues to be driven. All right, what's the driving force behind these devils rallying behind Trump, these different groups, these hate groups emerging? What's the driving force behind it? A deep fear of demographic change. See that? A deep fear of demographic change, man. See? So that show you that these devils is acknowledging the fact that they have become small. That's why their whole thing is to make America great again. See? So real quick, this is the book of Malachi, the first chapter, and starting at the first verse. It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. Yeah, and this proves that everything centers around these two figures right here. All right, the theatrics, if you will, of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shad is being played out all revolves around these two characters, Jacob and Esau. And this should cause you to question, why in the hell isn't this idea at the forefront of religion, man? Okay? In relation to whatever denomination you might subscribe to. Any of those out there who claim to build a foundation of the scriptures. Why aren't you questioning who the hell is Esau? Which you should, because the Lord himself is proclaiming his hate for Esau. But guess what? You're not going to hear that envelope being pushed, so to speak, because it's not in the best interest of the so-called white man for you to go digging and snooping into who the hell is Esau. All right? And they put a lot of time, money, they exhausted a lot of resources into keeping that suppressed. See? It says, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Now, when you go into that word heritage, one of the words that come up is birthright. See? So how in the hell are you going to receive a birthright if you're not giving birth? if the birth rates has spiked, to a low, this unprecedented decrease or decline in birth among the so-called white people. This pretty much means you won't even qualify to receive a damn inheritance or birthright. See, again it says, and I have hated Esau and laid his mountains, which is symbolic to this system, and his heritage waste. See, for the dragons of the wilderness, whereas Edom says, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places yet. And that was fulfilled, in the time of the Renaissance period, which when you go into that word Renaissance, it means rebirth. Meaning these devils, by the Lord putting a resilient spirit on them, of course, in effort to fulfill prophecy, they actually rebuilt Rome in the form of America. See? Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. And that proves that the same Edomites that you see here today rallying behind Trump is the very same Edomites back then. Because again, what's the rallying cry? Make America great again. Or in other words, returning and building the desolate places. See again, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Or in other words, we will make America great again. Just like they triumphed, if you will, in the rebuilding of Rome. But let's see what the Lord says. It says, thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. See that? Verse 5, and your eyes shall see, and ye shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the border of Israel. Yeah, and our eyes do see this. Again, there's a process, in relation to our withering or drying up. It don't just abruptly happen. It's a process. And the Lord Yahweh Shai is making manifest the fall of Esau, the so-called white man, in his mountains, this kingdom, this current system, as well as his heritage. See? So yeah, I just want to touch on that, Lord willing. It was edifying. Till the next time I say shalom.